All right, it's 4:18, and we have a special guest in our studio this afternoon. She is a vocalist and educator based right here in Denver. Graduated from the University of Northern Colorado with a bachelor's of music education, was a member of numerous premier ensembles, one earning a Downbeat Magazine Best of Award, and opera productions produced by the university. After teaching music in public schools for a few years, she transitioned into working as a freelance musician and founding her own voice studio. And in the last 2 years, she's partnered with pianist Eric Gunnison to perform a special artist in residency at Nocturne, honoring the late American jazz singer Carmen McRae. And this year, she returns to Nocturne for a month-long residency all this month, every Friday. Welcome, Louisa Amend.
Hello, Paul. Nice to see you, and nice to be here in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Nice to see you.
Of course.
I've met Tom.
Yes.
On the job. Wow. So, well, let's go back. Let's go back to Louisa as a child. What was it like growing up in your household? Where did you grow up, by the way?
Oh, I grew up partially in Colorado Springs, as well as the Bay Area in California. A lot of my siblings were into musical theater, and my parents were both quite musical. My mom played the piano, my dad played the guitar and mandolin. So that's how we got a lot of our inspiration, and all of us grew up singing songs, and I'm one of 5, so it was a very musical experience with all of us together there in the house, and that's kind of how I started getting the excitement toward music.
So what instruments do you play? I'm assuming piano?
Yeah, singing is my first instrument, but then I also play piano. I've done work with other instruments in the past, but I would say piano is my next best thing.
So what about your siblings?
They mostly were performing on stage, and musical singing was their predominant instrument. My sister and I both played violin when we were younger, and but mostly singers. Yeah, my brother sang opera, my sister sang jazz.
So that was my next question. What kind of music did you grow up listening to? Your parents had on a lot of classical and jazz?
Yeah, actually, not as much. I don't really know how we got into jazz ourselves, but my dad was really a big fan of bluegrass music and Irish music, so we listened to a lot of that growing up. And my mom's a children's librarian, so we heard a lot of excellent music from that domain as well when we were growing up.
Oh, my goodness. So once you decided to go take the music road, when was that?
I think that was in high school. I was very much dedicated to doing musical theater myself and being in the productions at my high school in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if I wanted to perform or if I wanted to educate. And I decided to go for the educational degree and found along the way that I was able to do both. And that was really rewarding for me to be able to be part of both of those musical experiences.
Wonderful. That's a great story. So your husband, Tom Amend.
Tom Amend.
I've seen him play that crazy organ.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
We met actually at University of Northern Colorado in Greeley. We both were going to school there for our music degrees. He is a year younger and was in my music theory class with me. He would always forget his books and say that he forgot them, but really was using it as an excuse to share my books. So that's how we first met each other. And then a great friendship bloomed from there, and the rest is history.
So that you've been together how long now?
Almost 10 years.
Oh, my goodness. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're both in the jazz music biz.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that?
It's always an adventure. It takes a lot of, I think, understanding of each other's schedules and finding a lot of time for each other. Not in the normal times of day people see one another. You know, we're spending time with each other in the mornings a lot more and doing our opposite things at night a lot of the time. So it's been a fun adventure to be on a path together and see what all of our different obligations, how they interact with one another, and how we're still able to have a really great friendship and relationship.
Well, that's wonderful. It's working.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
That's great. So I think we ought to play something.
Please.
Why don't you brought in some music. Tell me about this song that we're about to play, September in the Rain, which is so timely right now.
It is. It's one of my favorite songs. So Tom, he put together an octet where he was playing organ, and they've done a couple of albums at this point, and this is from the second album that just released in August, actually. So some fresh music, and it's from a record called Yellow Bench. A lot of the songs on there Tom wrote, and a couple of them are some standards like this one. And I was so fortunate to get to perform and sing with these fantastic musicians, 8 of Denver's best on there. And this project is something that we were both really proud of, and all the musicians on the record. So this is from Yellow Bench and called September in the Rain.
On KUVO, here is the Tom Amend Octet featuring Louisa Amend on vocals on KUVO. September in the Rain. That's the Tom Amend Octet featuring Louisa Amend on vocals from Yellow Bench. And Louisa, you were just telling me this was just released.
Just released on August 5th.
So this is the first time that that's been played on a broadcast radio station.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love that.
Me too.
Brand new shiny. Is Tom listening?
I hope so. He should be.
Well, tell me about the musicians.
Yeah, there's a great amount of, octet. So there's a large amount of great Denver musicians on the record. On guitar, Alex Heffron, drums, Paul Romaine.
Yeah.
Trumpet and flugelhorn, Gabriel Mervine.
Sure.
Soprano and alto sax, Daryl Gott.
Okay.
Will Swindler on sax and flute. Drew Zarimba on sax and flute and bass clarinet, and Zach Rich on trombone, and of course Tom playing the organ and piano, and he also played flute and arranged all of the music or wrote the ones that were original.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so we were talking off the air here a minute ago. You had performed and recorded at the Muse. In Lafayette Muse Performance Space.
About 2 weeks ago, actually, for Octave Records, who are the same lovely people who put out this last album for Tom.
Yeah.
We did a recording live at the Muse with my quartet, and on that Tom played, as well as Gonzalo Tepa on bass and Braxton Kahn on drums.
Okay.
And it was such a lovely experience, and I'm looking forward to putting it out and letting everyone hear it sometime in the future.
Well, you have to send us some of that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll play it. We'll be happy to play it. We gotta support our local musicians here.
Yes.
Speaking of, talk about the show you're going to play every Friday this month.
Yeah, Nocturne.
At Nocturne.
So at 6:30 and at 10 o'clock, there are 2 different sets on Fridays, and some more great musicians on those. We have Steve Kowalczyk on guitar. Tom is playing, of course. And then on drums, we have Drew Heller. And on bass, half of it will be Patrick McDevitt, and the other half, Michael Rinko, 2 great bassists. And on the second Friday, there's actually a feature of Daryl Gott, if you love some saxophone. So the music is exploring a lot of different categories, but the main focus are songs that have lyrics or stories that I find relatable, things that tell a good story, written by many different lyricists. So songs from Great American Songbook, those great standards like Johnny Mercer lyrics and things that we would love. And then also some fantastic songs from more contemporary artists, Joni Mitchell, Bonnie Raitt, as well as Alan Toussaint and Bill Withers. So some really great songwriters that I have come to admire. And then on the other contrasting side of that, a lot of music written by instrumentalists that either happen to have words or lyrics that I wrote myself. And so exploring a lot of music from actually mostly jazz pianists, Kenny Barron, Keith Jarrett, Chick Corea, some really great people, Monk. So a lot of different things to explore, but with the with a thought of being songs that people can relate to lyrically and that tell a story.
So when you write lyrics for these tunes that don't have lyrics, where do you start? Where do you get your ideas?
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's related to the title of the piece, and other times it's related to just the sound and emotion that I feel while listening to it. So one song in particular is called Country by Keith Jarrett. I heard some great musicians on the scene playing it and just thought it has to have words. And I took the idea of country, the name of it, and thought about what it would be like growing up in the country and kind of wrote a story talking about a child growing up and her experience of becoming an adult and leaving the corner of her country, her own little corner of the country. So sometimes it's related to that title, and sometimes it's, like I said, the emotional side and the feeling of the melody and what that brings out.
Well, Denver singer, educator, Louisa Amend, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me on KUVO. I appreciate being here.
We appreciate you bringing the music.
Thanks.
And continue. And say hi to Tom.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you every Friday this month at Nocturne. And you can read more about Louisa on our website at kuvo.org.